African religions, religious beliefs and practices of the peoples of Africa. It should be noted that any attempt to generalize about the nature of African religions risks wrongly implying that there is homogeneity among all African cultures. In fact, Africa is a vast continent encompassing both geographic variation and tremendous cultural diversity, worldview and divinity. No single body of religious beliefs and practices can be identified as African. It is possible, however, to identify similarities in worldviews and ritual processes across geographic and ethnic boundaries. Generally speaking, African religions hold that there is one creator God, the maker of a dynamic universe. Myths of various African peoples relate that after setting the world in motion, the supreme being withdrew, and he remains remote from the concerns of human life. Ritual and religious specialists. African religiousness is not a matter of adherence to a doctrine, but is concerned with supporting fecundity and sustaining the community. African religions emphasize maintaining a harmonious relationship with the divine powers, and their rituals attempt to harness cosmic powers and channel them for good. Ritual is the means by which a person negotiates responsible relationships with other members of the community, with the ancestors, with the spiritual forces of nature, and with the gods. Possession trance is the most dramatic and intimate contact that occurs between devotee and divinity. In most cases, possession is actively sought, induced through the ritual preparation of the participant. Techniques that facilitate this altered state of consciousness range from inhaling vapors of medicinal preparations to rhythmic chanting, drumming, and dancing. This practice is sometimes reserved for religious specialists or priests, but among the devotees of the Vodun, divinities, in Benin, any initiate may become a receptacle of the gods. A king's power is often derived from the association of kingship with the forces of nature. In Swaziland, the king is both a political and a ritual leader. The ritual renewal of his office is performed in conjunction with the summer solstice, when the celestial bodies are believed to be at their most powerful. During the rite of renewal, the king is purified and washed, and the water running off his body is thought to bring the first rains of the new season. Diviners are ritual specialists who have mastered a technique for reading signs that communicate the will of the divinities. Thought to possess the gift of clairvoyance, diviners are believed to share in the power of insight usually reserved to the spirits. Divinatory ritual is the centerpiece of African religions because it opens to all a channel of mediation with the gods. According to the Yoruba, 401 Orisha line the road to heaven, and diviners identify among them the personal Orisha to which an individual should appeal for guidance, protection, and blessing. Scripture, also called sacred scripture, the revered texts, or holy writ, of the world's religions. Scriptures comprise a large part of the literature of the world. They vary greatly in form, volume, age, and degree of sacredness, but their common attribute is that their words are regarded by the devout as sacred. Scriptures in non-Western religions. A striking instance of making a distinction between canonical and semi-canonical scriptures occurs in Hinduism. The Hindu sacred literature is voluminous and varied. It contains ancient elements and every type of religious literature that has been listed, except historical details on the lives of the seers and sages who produced it. Its earliest portions, namely the 4 ancient Vedas, hymns, seem to have been provided by Indo-European families in northwestern India in the 2nd millennium BCE. These and the supplements to them composed after 1000 BCE, the Brahmanas, commentaries and instruction in ritual, the Aranyakas, forest books of ascetics, and the Upanishads, philosophical treatises, are considered more sacred than any later writings. Buddhist sacred literature recollects Gautama Buddha's life and teaching in the 6th century BCE, and first appeared in the dialect called Pali, allied to the Magadhi that he spoke. As time passed and his movement spread beyond India, Buddhism adopted as its medium Sanskrit, the Indian classical language that was widely used in ancient Asia. A distinction arose between the Theravada, way of the elders, preserved in Pali and regarded as canonical, and the vast number of works written in Sanskrit within the more widely dispersed Buddhism called by its adherents Mahayana, greater vehicle. The Mahayana works were later translated and further expanded in Tibetan, Chinese, and Japanese. Jesus. The most precisely fixed canons are those that have been defined by official religious bodies. The Jewish canon, known to Christians as the Old Testament, was fixed by a synod of rabbis held at Yavne, Palestine, about 90 CE. The semi-sacred books that were excluded were labeled by Christians the Apocrypha, Greek, hidden away. Roman Catholicism later included them in its canon. Jesus, the founder of Christianity, left nothing in writing. But he so inspired his followers that they preserved his sayings and biographical details about him in oral form until they were written down in the four Gospels. To these were added the letters of St. Paul and others and the book of Revelation to John, the whole forming a sacred canon called the New Testament, which was ecclesiastically sanctioned by the end of the 4th century. There was also a New Testament Apocrypha, but it did not achieve canonical status because of numerous spurious details. Quran. Where no religious body has provided sanction or authorization, scriptures have had to stand on their own authority. Muslims believe that the Quran does this easily.